You rang. That's my best. Remember Lurch, the servant from the Addams Family? One viewer mentioned Lurch in writing to us, though we're sure she meant Lurch as in the movement, but we still have to sort of flash back here, and that question is up first today as we welcome back Amanda Fink-Shaeffer from Certified Transmission.
Hi.
Hello. You didn't watch the show?
I was like, that kind of looks like me without my makeup on. I don't know.
Get out of town. I've seen you barefaced and you're beautiful. We've got some questions, 3 to get to, and our first comes to us from Paige, and she writes, my 2013 Ford Fusion seems to lurch a little occasionally when the transmission is shifting from first to second. It only does it sometimes, and it seems to be more likely to do it after it's warmed up. What could be causing this? Is this an easy fix?
Well, I hope it's an easy fix. It probably is. On new transmissions like this, I think in that 2013 Ford, there's probably a 6-speed transmission in it, is what it is. And all of our transmissions now for the last 15 years, even longer sometimes, are electronically controlled. So like there are computers that are like controlling everything in your car, including the transmission. So what often happens is when these new transmissions come out, or a new model or something like that, there can be little things that need to be adjusted and little things that need to be changed. Lots of times that can be done by reprogramming the computer. And so hopefully it's just something like that. There shouldn't be any type of major mechanical issues. Usually we don't see things like that until closer to 80, 90, 100, 120,000 miles.
Yeah.
So assuming it's only a couple years old, assuming there's only 20, 30,000 miles on it, hopefully it's just a computer reprogramming. And we actually do that at our shops.
Great.
And lots of times the dealership can also do it, but lots of times we're cheaper than the dealer. Usually it takes a couple hours. We update that computer. It's like when you have to update your laptop with all the newest software, like every time you turn it on, it needs an update.
Right.
Luckily, your transmission doesn't need it that often. But if you're having issues like that, you can always bring it to one of our shops. We can check to see if there are updates for fixes like that, and then we can do the reprogramming.
And 5 locations in the area.
Yep.
Make your appointments online at certifiedtransmission.com if that's the easiest way to go, as a lot of us have our phones and tablets and would prefer sometimes to jump online.
You can email the managers.
Yep. Our next question comes to us from Jennifer, who writes, I have a 2010 Mazda 3 that's about to hit 90,000 miles. What kind of service do I need to make sure it's done to keep the car running for the next 90,000 miles?
Well, I don't want to like sound cliche, but you should do all your service as the manufacturer recommends.
So pull out the manual and start reading?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there'll be like a little table chart that tells you when you should be doing things. It is important in a state like Nebraska, where we're obviously coming up on very cold weather. I think they said the low tonight's like 20 degrees.
Yes.
When we're in extreme conditions and live in those places, it is really important to get your services done. We're not in San Diego. It's not like 70 degrees and beautiful all year round. That's not near as hard on your transmission and engine. So you really should get those types of things done. I do also want to plug in here that there are a lot of transmissions that they say you don't need to service them. And I mean, that's true. I guess you don't have to service them, but it probably won't last you as long as if you did. So, I mean, in Nebraska, we recommend servicing every couple years, every 20,000 miles or so.
And when you say service them, is it about fluids and having a technician look them over? What does that entail?
Well, there's actually 2 different types of things you can do to service a transmission. There's the traditional transmission service, where we would drop the pan, replace that filter, the pan gasket, and almost half the fluid. And then there's a transmission flush, where you're not dropping that pan, you're literally just flushing out 100% of the fluid. If it's your first time doing it, we think that a flush is fine. As you get more and more miles on it, we like to do a service, because that filter is very important in catching any debris. So we like to take those filters out and replace them with new ones.
And if you've ever replaced a transmission, you know it's good to take care of things so that you're not stuck with that at the end.
Yeah, our services range anywhere, it depends on your fluid and stuff, but around $140 to like $180. And that's a lot cheaper than when you come to us and we're like, oh, you need a $2,000 transmission.
Yeah,
that's no
kidding.
fun.
We have one more question, and it comes to us from Carol. She writes, I was sad to learn about the death of Car Talk host Tom Magliozzi. And he continues, as a member of the repair industry, were you a fan of the show? And thank you, Carol.
Well, obviously, I mean, I myself, I've heard him, but I'm not like on NPR Saturday morning specifically listening to it. But if it's on the car, I mean, if it's on the radio, I mean, they're very entertaining to listen to. And I know that my dad listened to him sometimes and stuff. And just in general, someone like that in the automotive industry
Yeah.
that puts a good name out for people, that's reliable and funny and just a real person,
Yes.
you know, it is sad to hear about it. But he was on the radio for such a long time, you know, and I mean, I think they only do the replays now and hasn't been doing anything new for a couple years.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's unfortunate, but I think he lived a good, happy life. It sounded like
He
it.
had a great sense of humor.
Yes, he did.
So what else? We were talking that first question to Paige, this idea of technology evolving and computers running transmissions compared to 20 years ago, where that was a very different story.
Yep.
Continuing education is a big part of that
Huge.
at certified transmission. Why does that matter to me as a consumer?
It's huge because you need to make sure that wherever you're getting your car worked on, that they have properly trained technicians. The majority of our transmissions have their ASE certifications. We have a lot of L1 mechanics. That means that they've passed 8 different tests, and then also they're a master technician. And we actually encourage our guys to do that. They get like different bonuses and things like that the more tests and stuff that they take. We require our guys to do 20 hours outside of work of education a year. The company obviously pays for it and stuff, but I mean, it's very important because these types of new transmissions, they're coming out with like 8 and 9 speed transmissions. You have to know what's going on with them and how to properly diagnose them. And we also have our management do that too with learning customer service, and we hope that their customer service is already good, but to touch up on your skills, you know.
Well,
so.
and those are keys to the success of the business in the area for decades now. Amanda, thank you.
Thank
for
you so
coming in.
much.
It's great to see you.
You too.
And if you would like to have your question answered by Amanda or Peter or another member of the team, feel free to send it to us. It could be featured on our next visit with Certified Transmission. A few ways to get those questions in: email talkback@omahamorningblend.com, visit our website and click on the Certified Transmission button, or leave questions on our Facebook wall.